the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, the so-called Diaa Al Awady wrote that the human body is by default healthy and upright. This is point number one. The human body, by its very nature, is healthy and upright, and it will remain in this state as long as there are no violent external inputs or influences. Accordingly, complete abstinence from any inputs fully achieves this state, which is inevitably brought to an end when the fast is broken. With the very first input, if you are able to maintain this state, then you are in the state of a body that does not get sick. Statement number two. Every input to the body carries harm. At the same time, it carries benefit, which is keeping the body alive and nourishing it with what is necessary for it to remain active. As long as the input is present, waste settles inside you, and this has harmful effects. Waste needs to be expelled. That is the harm. What remains are wastes that need to be expelled, and the body needs to get rid of them because they are harmful. Therefore, any food you eat, all of it carries harm. At the same time, it carries benefit, which is keeping this body alive, or its growth in the case of children. Number three, the body considers every input as a foreign entity, and accordingly, the human body has a reaction. This reaction is one of three things: an immune sensitivity, which follows lymphatic pathways, a central nervous response, which they call the gut-brain axis, or a hormonal glandular response. Hormonal what? Glandular, meaning either intestinal, peripheral, or pituitary, central. Focus with me. Hormonal glandular, two types: intestinal, peripheral, which includes insulin, glucagon, serotonin, and gastrin. These are intestinal hormones. Or pituitary central, which operates from the pituitary all the way to the adrenal gland. Statement number four, the body's daily and repeated suffering, and the continued exposure to inputs that are difficult to digest, which leads to repeated, though not complete, intestinal blockages. So the first issue is the intake of foods that are difficult to digest, leading to repeated, though not complete, intestinal blockages. The first harmful residues come from incomplete digestion or from inputs that contain stimulants for the nervous system, the hormonal system, and the allergic immune system, or from inputs that carry explicit toxins such as antibiotic residues, fertilizer and stimulant residues, chemicals, nitrogenous compounds, and pesticide residues, what we call them. What are they? Pesticide residues, so what are they? So the body's daily struggle in dealing with these isolated inputs, which are hard to digest and cause repeated intestinal blockages, even if they're not complete. Harmful residues from an incomplete digestion process. They are stimulants for your nervous, hormonal, and immune systems, leading to three types of sensitivities, or outright toxins, like residues of antibiotics, fertilizers, stimulants, colorants, chemicals, fertilizers, and pesticide residues. Statement number five, this immune struggle represents constant pressure on a body that is continuously resisting. This leads to recurring physical and psychological symptoms that are interconnected but with distant relationships, which is why they are called syndromes. The remoteness of causality in these relationships leads to unclear and vague diagnoses, increasing the suffering as these symptoms shift and escalate due to the interaction between the introduced chemicals, from toxins in food to accompanying medications. So the suffering increases and the symptoms shift and escalate as a result of the interaction between the introduced chemicals, from toxins in food to accompanying medications, which leads to the worsening of symptoms. What is meant here is the randomness of occurrence. What does randomness of occurrence mean? It means you have poisoning from something and you took medication for a certain symptom, but you don't recover from it. So the blood pressure medication combined with the other drug and the poisoning all interact together. It's a drug-drug interaction reaction. And while you're sitting in confusion, this leads to worsening symptoms and the emergence of new symptoms and diseases that align together in groups. For example, this is the fibromyalgia group. You know, the fibromyalgia that the rheumatologist talks about. And here is the blood pressure group, here is the diabetes group, here is the autoimmune diseases group, and here is the cancer group. You end up being divided randomly with a huge overlap of 5 or 6 different symptoms and disease names. It must be accompanied by chronic dysfunction, and this is one of the criteria in the nervous system. Even if the initial complaint started in childhood, With the presence of acid suppressants that have been introduced in the markets for about 20 years since 2005, the worst of the PPIs have been put on the counter. The serious risk and harm should not be neglected. And with the progression of the disease and the emergence of cancers, the role of acid suppressants in causing these symptoms should not be ignored. Number 7, treating what is not the cause, a twinge in the chest, blurred vision, dryness in the mouth, pain here and there, frequent urination, and I attribute it to an open gap, to high cholesterol, to high triglycerides, to the presence of uric acid, to the so-called agreed upon nonsense. I like to call it, what kind of nonsense is this? It's agreed upon because we are the active ones. We are the active ones. We are the clever ones. Come on, customers. Baker 8, the analytical indicators have changed, which are the clinical laboratory and the lab investigations. The change in analytical indicators and new laboratory findings indicates a shift in the body's strategy in cases of chronic stress and provocation. And there is no conclusive evidence that they are the cause of the symptoms or changes accompanying the condition. The cause is that which, when removed, the problem or symptom ends. So again, the change in analytical indicators and new laboratory findings such as elevated blood sugar, urea, creatinine, or uric acid are only indications of a change in the body's strategy in cases of chronic stress and provocation. Furthermore, there is no definitive evidence that they are the primary cause of the symptoms or changes that typically accompany this specific condition. The cause, by its very definition, is considered to be that which, when removed from the situation, the phenomenon ends, or the condition ends, or the symptom ends. If I take insulin and my blood sugar still rises, that means the high blood sugar is not because the insulin is inactive. Again, if I take insulin to lower my blood sugar and it doesn't go down, then the blood sugar wasn't high because of the insulin. If I give insulin and it lowers the blood sugar but doesn't improve the erection, then blood sugar isn't the cause of the erectile dysfunction. If the reflux from the opening in the diaphragm is treated and the reflux remains the same, is the reflux because of the bacteria? We took the medication for the bacteria and the reflux remains the same. Number 9, relying on laboratory evidence such as blood sugar, acetone, HDL, LDL, urea, creatinine, minerals, and electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and chlorides, and linking them directly, superficially, and especially incorrectly to the nature of food intake is completely wrong. Let's go back again to point 9. Relying on laboratory evidence such as blood sugar, acetone, HDL, LDL, urea, creatinine, minerals, and electrolytes, and linking the nature of food to these indicators is 100% incorrect, because these markers are the same across all types of mammals and white organisms, all of which have livers. For example, a crocodile has a liver and a chick has a liver. And mammals, the cow that eats only plants and the tiger that eats meat and drinks blood, all of them have blood sugar, acetone, HDL, LDL, urea, and creatinine. Even the mouse, so both mammals and egg-laying animals like birds, chicks, and the crocodile that has a liver, they all must have what I just mentioned. HDL, LDL, acetone, sugar, urea, and creatinine. This is the nature God created. God made it this way. The liver produces these things. The liver produces these things. Whether the animal eats plants, eats meat, or eats both. Anything with a liver. The pigeon, the chicken, and the crocodile. All of these have acetone, urea, creatinine, and sugar. That's it. And the appropriate comparison is so that I can love the effort. The rise or fall of these values from their usual levels is fundamentally related to changes in the body's state, reacting neurologically, hormonally, immunologically, and allergically, regardless of the type of inputs. So, this means that saying eating sugar causes sugar or eating protein causes effort is wrong. Completely wrong. That's incorrect talk. An increase and the decrease of these indicative values from their usual observed levels is fundamentally related to changes in the body's state, whether neurologically, hormonally, immunologically, or sensitively, no matter what the type of inputs are. So does that mean that if I have a duck's leg, I become equal to a tiger that eats meat and drinks blood? Do you understand anything? I, with a duck's leg, am made equal to a tiger that eats meat and drinks blood. We both have creatinine. I have creatinine. You have urea. I have urea. You have sugar and acetone. I have sugar and acetone, sir. No matter what you eat, yes, your body will react. Your body will react based on a certain strategy. This strategy is because you put yourself under stress, and I will respond to that stress in a particular way. Do you understand anything or not? Number 10, and the last point in the statement. The body's ability to recover and heal, whether by announcing, replacing, producing, repairing, resisting, preventing, forming, or differentiating, is fully integrated and coordinated and only ends with death. Your health, relatively speaking, equals your ability to avoid toxic inputs. Zero inputs means infinite health. But the last thing in the statement, out of 10 points, and the last one is a methodology. A life of zero medication. Zero medication. Everything I say is about zero medication. I have no vested interest. Your health is in your own hands. I finished what I wanted to say.